Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Always a pleasure to be here. So, we are in the month of August 2025, and this is anti-aging month. We kind of deemed it anti-aging month ourselves. So, that seems to be the focus for wrapping up the summer and getting back into our routines once again. And so, last week it was an overview of how redox molecules play a role in your overall DNA of your cells, how they're making copies to come into the new tissues. And we talked about the overview of the potential of our cells and how that makes a huge difference in whether we're going to actually function the way these cells were designed to function or not. And so this week we're going into rejuvenating skin through redox molecules. And so it's very exciting when you can actually understand the mechanism of action of what's going on below the surface and how our body is always self-healing and self-sustaining. So we have the ability to make new cells, and the health and quality of these cells is going to determine on a lot of factors, but one of the main factors is, can it produce energy? Can it signal other cells? And so when we talk about the skin, this is important because if you take your thumb off the pulse for just a minute, you can have serious aging happen very rapidly. Other people can maintain, the lifestyle that comes with anti-aging, and they can age into their 90s and still look like they're 60. Other people I've had that are in their 50s that look like they're 80 or 90 years old because, their lifestyle and lack of paying attention to their health just caught up to them. So when we talk about the skin, it's exciting because, I'm not a vain person, but when your skin looks good, you look good. And when you look good, guess what? You feel good. And if you look good and you feel good, yeah, you're most likely to go do good. So conversely, if you don't look good, you're not feeling good, and you don't really want to go do anything. Okay. And so how we take care and manage our skin, it plays a huge role. Your skin's replaced every 28 days of your life. So you've gone through a whole lot of skin suits in your day, and the quality of them, it's probably degraded a little bit over the years. Um, but have no fear. The good news is we can actually turn that around, restore elasticity, restore blood flow, restore neurology into the skin, and help your body do all sorts of amazing things. So let's go ahead and dive in to the actual presentation. And that's the title, Radiant Skin from Within. So let's talk for a moment about what's the skin. Well, it's your first line of defense. Everything from your outside environment, it's going to touch your skin first. Now, typically, anything that touches your skin or that you breathe in ends up in your lymphatic system and then off to get rid of it out of your body. So, your skin has all these different functions, from hair follicles to sweat glands to glands that produce oil to blood flow to nerves. We have all sorts of different aspects and how our skin cells are supposed to function. So, with that, it's your hair, your skin, your nails. They're not just protecting you, they're actually regulating your temperature as well, and enables you to actually touch and feel and have sensation anywhere on your body. Some areas, much more precise sensation than other areas, but it all goes back to the type of skin cells that we're talking about. Now, when we look at the breakdown of your skin, we've heard that it's many layers deep. You might have even heard that it grows from underneath and then grows up, and that is absolutely true. So, the how you understand the redox connection into your skin is going to make a lot of sense here in a moment. We have our epidermis, which is the top layer on the outside of our body. And right below the epidermis, where it meets the dermis, that's actually where you make redox. Okay. And that's where your redox is being used because it is going to create the new cells from that layer and then start pushing them up towards the surface. So your dead cells, skin cells, will just flake off on top. And whatever new cells you're making today, 28 days from now, they're going to be on the surface. And so we always have the ability to have a better version of those cells coming down the pipeline. Now, below that is the dermis. The dermis is where your blood flow is, it's where your sweat glands are, it's where your nerve endings are. It's where redox signaling comes from. Okay. It's coming out of the blood flow into all these tissues so that you can actually create the next version of that cell. And then below that is the hypodermis. This is where our fat is. And those fat cells give us insulation, but it also helps us anchor down to the muscle right below. So, what you don't see when you're seeing the still picture is really the activity and how much is going on in terms of redox molecules. So, we are constantly producing redox. They're going busy all over the place cleaning the cells, getting the damaged cells out of there, making many copies of the new version of the cell, and making sure that we have the best quality tissue viable. And so, where do we get that energy? It comes from every single cell within the cell itself. Our mitochondria are these little bean shaped organelles that are making energy for us all the time, all day long, keeping our cells charged. If you stopped making them for 3 minutes, we would not be able to sustain life. That's how important these are. It's made from every single cell of our body to power the cell and then to um, help protect it and signal other cells in your body. So, where does the word redox come from? What's that mean? Well, reduction and oxidation. Oxidation is when a bond of electrons is broken and you have a free electron called a free radical running around causing havoc. Your antioxidants have extra electrons in their belt, like a police officer with all these tools in their belt. And they're going to donate that electron to the one that's missing one. And as soon as it does that, now that molecule's happy and the energy can rest. And so we're constantly at a state of breaking apart electrons and then replacing them back together down at the cellular level. In fact, your whole dance of health, it all relates back to the spinning of electrons around our cells. And we either have it and we're healthy, or we don't have it and we get sick. And so it's crucial for all cells to function, to be able to constantly make energy for that cell. Well, we metabolize it from our food and from oxygen and from sugar. We can make all sorts of energy that sustains our cells ongoing. So the main function of redox is two things. Half of it charges the cell, as I just mentioned, and we need the power and the potential in the cell, just like you need to charge your cell phone at night so that you can use it tomorrow. We have to have a battery. Outside the battery, it's all about the bars. When our cells get attacked by free radicals, it deteriorates and it breaks down our cells. It's much like losing the signal on your phone. You get down to one bar, your conversation's pretty sketchy. You're going to hear every other word, maybe be able to make sense of what's going on. And so when we think of redox, it's turning it all in the other direction. It's not only charging our cell, but it's giving us full cell communication to be able to communicate to our neighbor cells. That's important when we're being attacked, when we're being injured, and of course, when we're needing to do normal function things. So it's all about the power of potential. We see two cells here. Which one do you think functions better? Clearly, the one that's lit up that has a battery life left. So this is how we use redox when it comes to our skin. We have an example of an injury, and then the first thing on any cut and wound is redox. Redox shows up and it starts bringing in new tissue, taking away the old tissue, and helping keep infection from gaining in there. So it's all about that immediate response to the need that the tissue has to return to normal and to return to homeostasis. You don't have to think about it when you get a cut, like heal, 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 and just tell it to heal for it to finally heal. It naturally knows to stop the bleeding, put a scab on there, heal the tissue from underneath, push it to the surface. When the bottom one gets to the surface, guess what? The scab falls off. It's just that simple. So it's all about potential of these cells. And then when we think about our crisis of aging, And where we're at now, people are aging a whole lot faster. We have more chemicals and toxins and things that we're exposed to now that was never here before the 1970s. So we are all getting damaged at an accelerated rate. And this is why we have conditions that are usually the fifth and sixth decade of life happening in teenagers and in children. Okay. It's correlated and directly related to oxidative stress. Now, here's the challenge, we're all losing it as we age, we decline in the amount that we can make. And that's just a fact. So if we think about age, stress, diet, toxins, all of these things deplete the amount of resources we have in our cells. And so it can make us go through aging quicker than other people, like we mentioned before. But the bottom line is by the time you're 50 years old, you're already making half of these molecules that you used to make when you were in your 20s. And so, what kind of tissue and skin do we have at 50 compared to our 20s? It's not as vibrant, it's not as elastic, it's losing all sorts of its function. It's keeping the temperature working, it's keeping the sensation working, it's keeping blood flow to the best that it can with the resources that it has. But when it comes to the cell's potential, that's the thing that you're losing. When you lose the potential, the worker that has that potential doesn't get as much done anymore. Okay, that's just unfortunately how it is. In fact, you lose 10% workers every decade, 1% per year. Doesn't seem like a lot until you're 20 or 30 years in and you're 30% less workers doing the job to heal your cells and to help keep everything healthy that you had when you were so much younger. So let's talk about scars for a moment. Scars inevitably just replace themselves. You might have a scar that you've had your whole life. Oh, this happened when I was a teenager. I fell off the swing and got a couple stitches, and you have this scar. Okay, well, they're going to continue to replace themselves, just like all the skin around it, to that last version of the skin. And so think of it like your redox molecules, they're responsible for copying the DNA and allowing that DNA to be put into the new stem cell, which becomes a skin cell. Well, you got to ask yourself, how much redox do you have? How fast is your copy machine making copies? How many do you get to make before you have to have the data for the new cell because it's there waiting? Okay. What if you had a copy machine that was making thousands of copies a minute versus one or three? Okay. You're going to find a much older, better version of your DNA that was from childhood, from before the injury. And guess what? Your body will repair to the better code because it's a cleaner, younger version of yourself. And so that's a redox function. Redox signalings can lead you up, can get you that leg up on healing that you've been looking for. So here's some real results of a patient of mine had some burns on his arm. We got him drinking 6 ounces a day and putting our gel that's highly concentrated redox, twice as concentrated as the liquid, on his arm 3 times a day. And guess what? In 4 days, look at it's healing without scars. Why on earth could that happen? That's pretty exciting to see that. It's pretty dramatic. Well, they did a study on Renew 28 and blood flow. And what they did is they put the Renew on one arm and not the other and measured blood flow from both arms at all the subjects. And across the board, they had up to 49%, 55%, 35% more blood flow in the arm that put the Renew on. And there wasn't crossover into the other arm. And what was interesting is the immediate response was super high, and then it slowly starts to taper down over an hour. But by 3 hours, it's on the rise again. And in 2 days, it's still rising. And in 4 days, it's still rising from a single application. So these molecules are exciting the tissue, helping that tissue function better, for one, maybe turn over faster and find a better, cleaner version of that. So now the tissue, the organ, the system, whatever it is, starts to behave better and starts to give you that leg up on healing. So, what does it do for the blood? Okay, healthy, radiant skin. We love that. We see those changes pretty quickly. Your complexion from dry skin to stretch marks to wounds to just cellulite, the appearance of cellulite, and circulation in hands and feet. and it does wonders for that and to reduce swelling and water retention. So we can also do elasticity. Okay, that's super exciting when we start talking about elasticity. It means no more saggy skin in the areas that you might see age spots or wrinkles start to happen. The two different gels we have is the Renew 28 is actually 2 times stronger than the liquid, and then our advanced serum is 4 times stronger for those really sensitive skin areas. But the results that we see are nothing short of astonishing. You can use any amount of these in any orifice of your body, any amount on your body, and there is absolutely no harm. Your body's making these molecules in every cell of your body. So we're talking cuts, burns, bruises, stings, rashes, bites, anything that happens to your skin, we want to help it respond faster, rejuvenate better, and become a better quality skin cell. And that's exactly what these do. Seeing is believing. These are people that in 28 days had this much change from doing this twice a day. And you can see scars, you can see age spots, you can see necks that lost their elasticity and then it came back. You can see rashes, you can see all sorts of things on this image. And so that's what you can expect, a better version of your cells every 28 days. It might not be the youngest version right out of the gate, but after a few cycles, you will continue to find a better and better version. Here's an example of acne in 28 days, collagen elasticity in the neck in 28 days, and then age spots just in 11 days. How exciting is that? So we had two different companies do tests on this, and what they both concluded that over a 20% improvement in just 4 weeks by using this wonderful product. So it's not just about the power of the cell. You got to have the right nutrients and you need collagen. Okay. And so we need collagen because collagen is what we use to remodel these tissues and actually give it that elasticity and from wound healing, it's going to fill in those missing pieces very, very quickly. So here's the deal with collagen. By balancing your redox molecules, you're allowing yourself to organize tissue better. Okay, you can initiate the production of collagen, which is a redox responsibility, and it's going to help us lay down scars with less chelated parts. Okay, a softer scar that actually functions better and doesn't become so fibritic that he has no flexibility or movement and it creates a lot of discomfort in our scars. So here's how we get collagen. Now we have to consume it. We can't just make it from ourselves. Most people get it through animal product. Now you have to break that animal product down into the gelatin, into the peptide, into the amino acid before we turn it into our peptides, our gelatin, and human collagen. And then we build hair, skin, nails, and all of those. Now, ASEA has an amazing collagen that's vegetarian, doesn't come from the animal products, and it's already broken down into the amino acids that we need to turn them into human peptides, gelatin, and again, human collagen. So it's a wonderful drink. If you had two of these in a day, you would actually be growing your telomeres, which also comes to longevity, which we'll be speaking of in later episodes. And of course, we've talked about them in past episodes as well. So collagen's super important. Supplement your body with collagen and you'll have better results. Okay. And the last thing we're going to talk about is clay masks. Everybody knows that bentonite clay can help pull dirt and debris and things from your skin. Well, this is the first and only one that ever has redox signaling molecules infused into it. So what that does, it makes it highly negatively charged, just like grounding yourself and walking on the beach for an hour. You get all these negative electrons from the earth to neutralize stress in your body. So when these negative electrons align on the surface, like a magnet, they're going to start drawing all of those positive molecules out. So it's going to pull out much more dirt and debris and grease and allow it the surface to maintain that negative charge. And then you're going to put your redox molecules into that surface and have a much greater glowing skin that is more pure of toxins and debris and oils and all of that. So supplementing with redox is going to help literally drive the function of every cell in your body way beyond your skin. If you see that it does this much in the skin in a month, what's it doing to the tissues on the inside your body? The same thing. If you got scar tissue in there from previous surgeries or injuries, it's going to help remodel that tissue and find ones with less scars. It's going to help so many things in your body. That's why we've done this call every week for years, because we can keep changing the topic on how your body heals. And then how, when we give it more potential, guess what? It heals better. These are the cells that literally drive the function of every cell in your body. It's impossible for them not to work for you because you make these exact same cells in your body to do that job. So they're responsible for charging the cell wall and turning on your 5 bars of communication. We have to be able to have this cascading effect of sharing information through our cells so they adapt and they know how to defend themselves against the things that are hurting the previous cells in the way. So if you want to talk about reversing aging, the number one step, get more potential. When you have more potential, you'll be more resilient. You're going to get more out of your supplements that you're consuming. You're going to get more out of your exercise that you're doing. And you're certainly going to get more out of your repair and recovery. Most people just work out too much and don't take enough time for repair. And it catches up to you, creating all sorts of problems with your health. And so it's important that we use projects like this to help give us that leg up on healing. These are messengers and activators in your body. They're the things that turn on and off all the switches to create everything and to turn things off, stop the production of this, deliver more of this. Okay, these are all redox functions. And so when we have high potential, our body and our cells can communicate with each other very, very well. It's what keeps us young, from the drinking from the inside to the stuff on the outside to making sure that we have enough collagen to continue to build healthy tissues. Okay, collagen is a big part of all of that. So that's all I have for today. I'm so excited that you took a moment just to learn more about things that we can do for our skin to make us feel younger and appear younger, especially. And so I want to end by saying that, ASEA and Renew 28 and these products that we spoke about tonight, they're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any illnesses in your body. We're all talking about the mechanism of action of how your body prevents things from happening to it and how your body does the healing. You're the only one that can heal you, and you're the only one that's a supply sergeant for your body. So you have to be the one that determines what is important enough for me to be consuming every day, and what are the things I need to stop putting into this body because it's interfering with this whole potential of my cells. It's funny how people take such good care of their kids and they neglect themselves. You have to realize that you have 100 trillion kids inside of you, the size of a cell, and they're depending on you to try to take better care of them and not ignore them. They don't judge you and not work as hard when you're not behaving. They're just not working as hard because you just took the battery life away. So they're only doing the best they can with what you're giving it. So let's step up and give our bodies more and look back and be amazed at how much healthier you are now than you were maybe months or years ago before you learned about this product. So thank you so much for joining us. And next week, we're going to be talking about anti-aging in the tune of brain health and things that we can do to prevent that cognitive decline.